Welcome. You are about to take a journey to a place of the divine love within with Deborah Beauvais on the Love by Intuition show. For the next hour, allow her to prepare you in becoming a magnet for a profound love-infused relationship by identifying and focusing on solutions through love. Awaken the light within and let your essence shine. And now, here's Deborah Beauvais on Love by Intuition, all part of the Dream Vision 7 radio network.
Welcome, everyone. Bonjour, mes amis. And yes, here I am, Deborah Beauvais, founder and owner of the Dream Vision 7 radio network. If you're tuning in for the first time, we are Boston-based internet holistic radio station with all the bells and whistles. You can listen to us whether you're in a different country, whether you're in the cars. You can ask Alexa. You can just find us everywhere. And we are the proud media partner for the Omega Institute, and with the COVID, they have been doing mostly online type of workshops, but they are opening up for face-to-face in their beautiful environment. It's like a retreat come August, so you'll be hearing more about that and be able to take advantage of the percentage that you save by going through us. So we have an excellent show for you. It's all about awareness. It's about self-love. And you know that's what the Love by Intuition show is all about, going within, finding your true self, and living from that place. And that, I believe, you know, once you have that solid love for self that most women, have a whole journey of, that's when you find the compassion for others. And I think everyone should be going within so we can raise that compassion. So my guest is Paria Hassouri. She is the author of Found in Transition. She's a pediatrician. She's an MD, mother of 3, and a transgender rights activist. Her essays have been published in the Washington Post, the LA Times, Huffington Post, and Women's Running Magazine. And yes, she's a runner. And she lives in LA. And she wrote the book Found in Transition, A Mother's Evolution During Her Child's Gender Change. And I learned so much from the book, and I really feel as though it needs to be elevated and spread everywhere, because a lot of people have misunderstandings and just don't have a clear idea of what it is to be transgender, and a mom parents going through all that. So welcome to the show, Paria.
Thank you so much for having me on.
You're welcome. So one of my first questions is that being a mom, you felt a very strong desire to be a mom at a younger age. And now that you have journeyed through the life that you have had with your family and with yourself, when I was reading that, I felt that you had that strong desire because really within, in one shape or form, you felt that it was going to be a really a real journey, and that you had to find that inner strength to go through. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think that part of, it's hard actually for me to say for sure, but I think I always wanted to have children from a very young age, and, had this desire to sort of nurture, I guess. And I think as I went through my grade school and teen years, and my family moved from Iran to the U.S., that desire to sort of create a family of my own just kept getting stronger and stronger. I think, when you immigrate, you lose a big part of your family. My immediate family came with me, but I lost all my extended family. And so, part of it was also this desire to create my own big family that would then, have their own extended family eventually.
Yes. And I relate to that and resonate with that, because I had the same kind of feeling and a different, the same feeling and desire to be a mom so that I could really make a difference with the kids and in different ways, but on the same wavelength, if that makes sense. So a lot of us, I think, have that desire or that knowing that we are going to be moms, and we may be different than what the way that we were brought up, or like in your situation, just finding, in honesty, it's finding receiving unconditional love from kids. It's really, it fills you up. And I have to commend you for your honesty, because all your thoughts, every thought that Paria had during this journey is in the book. You didn't hold back any inner thoughts that made people would judge you for the way you were thinking, when in fact all of us have thought those things. So have you always just been transparent?
I've always been the kind of person who hasn't been very good at small talk or talking in big groups. So, if I go to a party, I'm much more comfortable if I find one person that I connect with, and then I could end up telling them everything. I'm not somebody who's, I guess I've never really been a big fan of sort of what I feel are superficial conversations, and I've always craved those, like deep tell-all friendships that we have and we make, when we're younger. And I think as you get older and older, you really, it's hard to find new friends that you have this sort of, tell-all friendship with. And so, I just felt like the book wouldn't have any value if I didn't tell the entire truth of what it was like for me to go through this experience. And I think also as a pediatrician, you see so many moms who come to you and are sort of scared to tell you about something about their child, whether it's something as simple as they decided to stop nursing, or something, more complicated like, their child is struggling with a major mental health or drug issue, and they've had to send them, away to, someplace. There's so much fear of judgment, that you see a lot, as a pediatrician. And I've always sort of valued my role in, telling other moms, this is a no judgment space,
right.
And that whatever you've had to do as a mother is what you've had to do, as a mother. So I guess, to me, not being 100% honest it just wouldn't have had any value. Then the book wouldn't have really had any value.
Yeah, I get that. You're right. So tell us your journey at the beginning of Ava and all that happened there and what you were feeling. Tell us, because I really feel that showcases so much of what the parents and the child is going through, and even the siblings around. But so tell us your journey.
Yeah, so my daughter. So I have 3 kids, and my middle child, Ava, was born designated male at birth, and at the age of 13 and a half in May of 2017, came out to us as being transgender and saying that she feels that she's not a boy and that she's a girl. And when she came out, my husband and I were completely blindsided. Not just us, our entire family. There was no one who had ever thought that there was any chance that she might be transgender. Nobody had ever thought that she showed any signs of, having any discomfort or distress with her gender. So I was in complete shock and really denial when she came out. I just thought there's no way that this is true, and that there wouldn't have been any signs, before, and that I, as her mother and a pediatrician who's really valued that I've always been really close and open with my children and regularly had conversations with them, wouldn't know, would have no idea that this is what's been going on with my child. So my initial reaction was really denial and anger, and I really didn't accept it and didn't handle it appropriately initially. And then, went through a process of grief, and then, gradually started to realize that this, might be real and what wasn't going away, and then, had to really self-educate on gender and gender identity, and when one sense of gender may sort of present itself for a change, or how it may evolve, and then we eventually supported her through transitioning socially and then medically. So I think the reason that I wanted to write this book was when my daughter came out. At that time, everything I would find was on trans children who presented much younger, starting at 3, 4, 5, 6 years old. And I wasn't really reading stories of trans kids who didn't have any signs until they hit puberty or later. I just felt like this was a narrative that was really missing at that time, and something that I would, had I read or heard of something similar, then, when she came out, it would have been much easier for me to, maybe not much easier, but it would have been difficult either way. But, it would have at least not been something completely and like an unfamiliar foreign concept to me that, that a child could reveal something to them, to you about their gender at 13, and it could be true.
Right. And that's why it's so important that you did write the book, and that there is, transgender awareness of the kids and the different variables that go on, because you saw a video much later from another mom, with the more information and the more that you raise awareness, and I'm sure you realize this now, there are so many people that are thirsty for the information, and now they'll read and understand what they're going through, and then they can pass it on. And at the same time, there's a collective consciousness where people are going to be grasping the different, not only the dialogue or the proper terminology, but, what happens and how they, I think it's education and understanding, and then once people have that, then they're okay with it. They're like kids. Like, even you talk about your younger kids and the kids' friends and getting together, and it didn't faze them at all. The differences, as Ava was transitioning, doing different things with makeup and that, it didn't even faze them, because they were taking the person for the wonderful person they were or are. And so it's the adults that really need this education. And change comes with education, as you know. Yes. So I'm so glad you wrote the book. So now, being a pediatrician, talking about, the medical education, have you found in the last couple of years that they're, when going to school, that they're implementing more education to be able to dress parents and kids that are transitioning or questioning their identity?
Yeah, I think that really there is starting to be, I went to medical school in the late 90s and did my residency in the early 2000s. And at that time, there was nothing, no training whatsoever. But really, even in just in the last 2-3 years, I mean, the American Academy of Pediatrics came out on its first, put out its first statement, saying that, we should support transgender youth in 2018, their first policy statement on transgender youth in 2018, after my daughter came out. So, before that, there really was nothing. And even now, some of the medical schools and residency programs are starting to teach a little bit more about gender and the spectrum that it lies on, but a lot are not. And, it really should, providing transgender health care is really just a part of primary care. So it's really should be sort of mandatory teaching and training, I think, for all primary care physicians to at least be familiar, if they're not going to necessarily, be totally comfortable with the, with the hormone therapy and things like that, at least to have some training and be familiar with the recommendations.
Exactly.
So, but, hopefully that will change in the next 5 to 10 years, but it's still, it's still very new and a long way to go. And there are states in which they're trying to make it illegal to treat for physicians to treat transgender children or do hormone therapy in teenagers, which is just
which is crazy. It's just unacceptable. But do you really? I mean, when it all comes down to it, it's fear. People, are coming from a place of fear instead of love, and so fear, they're afraid of what if someone looks different than them, or acts different, believes different. There's so many belief systems that should have died hundreds of years ago, and it's just that's why I always say, if you go within and you tune into who we are, because we are love, we are light, and you really get to know the truth of who you are, then you look at things totally from a different perspective. So, it gets, it can be upsetting, and I can't imagine what you've gone through as a family, because not everybody is warm and accepting. So, but on the medical end, being a pediatrician, now that you know the depth of what is needed and understanding and patience and all of that, has that helped your practice? That's definitely helped my practice. I'm a lot more in tune to just sort of more subtle signs of gender dysphoria or distress in children and teens right now. I actually just very recently started doing trans health care in adolescents and kids myself. So I got training on hormone therapy and medical transition, and just very, very recently started a program for that at the hospital that I'm affiliated with. And so it's really drastically changed my practice and also sort of given me a renewed sense of passion and purpose within being a pediatrician too. Right. I think about the families and the kids that go through this, like in the Midwest. Here we are in the Boston area, Northeast, where we're more, open-minded, and the West Coast, where you are, there's more services. We're on the two ends of the country, but I have so much compassion and thought for the families that don't have the resources, and what do they do? I mean, have you come across people? Yeah, I mean, I've actually often wondered if we didn't live in Los Angeles, if my daughter may have held this in longer. I'm not sure, because it's hard to know, but there are people who have to travel far to get care. It's definitely in a lot of sort of middle states. It's harder to find care, and there might be one person who's doing it who's not close by, and people are having to drive long distances to get the care that they need, and a lot of people are staying in the closet longer and not coming out or transitioning. So right. Well, we are up for a break. Everyone, this is a live show. Bob is in the house, and feel free to give a call if you have a question for Paria or a thought, or maybe you're a mom out there listening and you're in the midst of this kind of experience. Our number is 833-220-1200. Again, 833-220-1200. And we will be back in a moment. Don't go away.
Experience a different yet profound healing with Reconnective Healing. Includes yet expands beyond any and all known forms of energy healing. The Reconnective Healing spectrum is comprised of the full healing and evolutionary continuum of energy, light, and information. It allows for healings that are not just physical, not just mental, not just emotional, yet go beyond that to bring healing that includes the evolution of your very being and essence. Deborah Beauvais, trained and certified by world-renowned Dr. Eric Pearl, offers appointment hours at Seacock Family Chiropractic in Seacock, Massachusetts. For questions or to set up both distance or local sessions, call Deborah at 508-431-1959. Again, 508-431-1959. Or go to lovebyintuition.com. That's lovebyintuition.com.
Take a journey to a place of the divine love within with Deborah Beauvais on the Love by Intuition Show, Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. Eastern. Our message is love in the purest form. The light within us all is a guide to recall our beginning, to learn to love self and humankind, and to feel the higher power of our own divinity. To attract love, one needs to be love. Come join us and step into this glorious vibration called love.
After narrowly surviving the attack on Sandy Hook Elementary, first grade teacher Caitlin Roy DeBellis was left searching for answers that would never come. Eventually, she chose to focus on questions that could be answered. How do I make sure this tragedy doesn't define us? How do we get our control back? Those two questions led her to found the 501c3 nonprofit organization Classes for Classes. When gifts poured into their classroom, she decided they would help someone else by paying it forward and being kind. This developed into a social network which allows K-8 classrooms to connect so that every student in the United States can learn these crucial lessons. Classes for Classes' mission is to build students' social-emotional intelligence by connecting them to care. All C4C projects are crowdfunded. Any teacher in the U.S. can visit classesforclasses.org. That's classes, the number 4, classes.org. Sign up today.
Delight your kids with an enchanting journey by reading the Paper Doll Kids children's book by Deborah Beauvais and Janine Sullivan. There's even a catchy tune, Kids for Love song, produced by Bob Sherwood and sung by kids just like yours. The story weaves around 7 paper dolls flying around the world doing good deeds as they bring important attention to our endangered animal friends. There's even a magical ring with a universal message. Kids become interested in service projects, action through compassion, and planting seeds that nurture positive change. The Paper Doll Kids and Kids for Love song are a production of the Kids for Love Project. Get the book now on Amazon Kindle and the song on CD Baby or iTunes.
Looking for a fun and relaxing getaway? Omega Rest and Rejuvenation Retreats are a great way to unwind and renew your spirit. You can stretch your body, quiet your mind, and do as much or as little as you choose. Join us in May and we'll waive the daily fees. Located in Rhinebeck, in New York's beautiful Hudson Valley, Omega's natural environment and quiet pace allow for extraordinary experiences to unfold. Learn more at eomega.org or call 877-944-2002. That's 877-944-2002.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
All right, and we are back, and we have power. And again, this is a live show, so 833-220-1200. Bob will put you through. And we are with Paria Hassouri. She is a doctor, an MD, and she has written Found in Transition, A Mother's Evolution During Her Child's Gender Change. And she's talking about her journey. And what I know that what you went through, Paria, and the whole family is quite complex. I don't want to think that anyone would be making mistakes, because we all do. We're human. I mean, I've made mistakes as a mom. I make mistakes after my girls are grown. And so, what would you say the most challenging pieces? Was it acceptance, or was it dealing with feeling guilty that you weren't accepting sooner than you did?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I feel a lot of guilt that I didn't accept sooner than I did, because, and it's from when she came out to when I started to really accept it and act, was probably about a 6 to 9 month period, which a lot of people say, oh, well, 6 to 9 months, that's a short amount of time when a child drops something like this on you. So why do you feel so guilty? But in particular for adolescence is a particularly trying time for trans youth, because it is when their bodies are rapidly changing in the wrong direction that doesn't feel comfortable, and the more their body is changing, the more distress and discomfort they're feeling. And so, the more you as a parent are sort of lagging behind, their body is masculinizing or feminizing in a way that isn't consistent with their identity at a really rapid rate. And those are all things that then, you may have to undo medically, So I think there's a difference between, let's say, a 20-year-old coming out and a parent taking a year to get on board, and a 6-year-old coming out and a parent taking a year to come to get on board. Because in the case of the 6-year-old, they have a long time before they start puberty, and anything needs to be done medically anyway. And in the case of the 20-year-old, everything's done. Nothing's changed. But during adolescence, when the body is rapidly changing, a 6 to 9 months delay makes a big difference. And we know that trans teens have a significantly increased risk of suicide attempts, and that if they are supported by their parents, their risk of suicide basically comes down to the same as for cisgender teens. So family support is really all that's needed to equalize their suicide risk with non-trans teens. So yeah, I feel a lot of guilt that what I thought I knew really got in my own way, I guess. And I just wish I had stopped and listened and kept a more open mind. I wish I had been better informed. I think a lot of me wanting to write this book was to sort of undo my own wrongs and say, well, maybe, I didn't get it right, but maybe I can help somebody, maybe I can help other parents listen to their kids, so.
Right. Well, I think you need to soften yourself. I mean, be kinder to yourself, because you didn't, we don't know what we don't know. Right. And so if you didn't have the information, the tools to have a clearer understanding of what was happening and how it would unfold, then there's no fault in that. But I understand how you're feeling, because you're a mom, and from that mom perspective, we don't want to do anything to harm our child or to cause them any angst or anything of that sort. So I hope that as time goes on, that you're able to release that, because there's no need to hold that on, and I'm coming from years of experience. You don't have to hang on to that any longer. It's not serving you or serving anyone else, and you did everything you could, you and your husband, and so, I mean, when you look at it from the family perspective, I mean, you did so well. Some people would stomp their feet and adamantly say no to everything. Some people would medicate themselves in one shape or form and not even deal with it. So I think you did. I mean, I wasn't there, but I think you did amazingly well. So, as far as you're welcome, and it's well intended too. So, when you I think about all the other people that may not know it. It's that education. And so another thought that or concern that you had and your family did as well is, would Ava change your mind? And one of the things I remember reading is that if Ava was choosing to go through all the different things, shaving, the electrolysis, the changing of the name, all of that, if they're willing to do that and they're going forward, and some of those procedures are painful, then that's kind of your answer, that they really know that, they are, like with Ava, that she's a girl. And, yeah, so I guess I'm just thinking of what she went through. And one of the things you do now, I think I read somewhere, is that you ask the child, even in your practice, are you comfortable in your body? And I think that's so powerful.
Right. Yeah, I think that's one of the, when a lot of times, most of the time as a pediatrician, once kids are teens, you talk to them alone for a little bit at their checkup, and, you're just screening for the depression and sexual activity and drug use and things like that. And I've learned to just add some simple questions like, are you comfortable in your body, which may not even necessarily have to do with gender.
That's right.
And it's just a sort of important question to ask, and I'm surprised by how many people have revealed things to me, about their body, whether they are cis or trans, when I ask that question. And and some people are sort of taken, a little bit aback by like, well, what do you mean? Because they're trying to see kind of exactly what you're getting at. And I think, regarding the fear about Ava changing her mind, I mean, we know that if, for kids who are puberty or later, who are presenting in around puberty or later, the chance that they will change their mind about transition is at most 2 to 3%. So 97 to 98% of the time, when a child is, when a child hits puberty or later, and they are saying that they are trans or gender non-conforming or non-binary, then it is real, and they're not going to change their mind. And I think another thing that I have realized, I had a lot of my hesitation with letting her medically transition before was, what if she changes her mind? And, I've let her do this as a minor. And I have come to the point where, right now, I mean, I think the chance that my daughter will change her mind is less than 0.1%. I just don't think anything's impossible. So I say less than 0.1%. But, I think even if in the 0.1% she did at some point change her mind, I feel like based on what she was going through at this time and the information that I had, I still made the right decisions for her. So I don't really have any fear about that anymore at all.
Good. So how is Ava doing today? I mean, what are some of the challenges that she faces now, or that you're concerned about?
I mean, overall, she's really doing remarkably well. I think this last year with the pandemic, that's been hard on everybody, and so that was hard on her as well, because she had just become this, really blossomed into this social person, which she never was before, and then it was like, oh, now you have to go back in your bedroom, and so that was, I think, harder on her than maybe a lot of other teens, although it's been hard on everybody. But overall, she's doing really well. I think she's, a senior in high school now, so she'll be going to college in the fall. I think, she wants to go to college and really experience just what it's like to be a college girl. And so, she's decided that she doesn't necessarily want to stay in an LGBTQ dorm, but just a regular dorm, and just experience being a regular college girl. And so I think not in any way denying her trans identity, but it's there's a little bit of a struggle of owning that part of your identity, but not having it be the first thing about you,
I understand.
And sort of figuring that out for herself. But, I'm sure she will figure all of that out. And I think, before I would have been really scared at the prospect of her living, in a dorm that wasn't specifically an LGBTQ dorm. And right now, I'm really, I'm so amazed by youth these days and how open and accepting they are. That I really have a lot less fear about that than I used to, and I think it will be fine, and I think she will do well. So
I didn't know that they had LGBT dorms.
Not all universities do, but a lot of them do. So, they'll have one dorm that will be, and you can choose to live in there or not. And, you don't have to be LGBTQ. You could just be an ally or whatever, but a lot of them.
But you can choose that if you'd like.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And are there any restrictions for her to be in the girls' dorm?
No, there aren't. As you know, we had she had a legal name and gender change, and there are not. So yeah.
Wonderful. So what would you? There's a number of things that you could advise parents on. Probably the first thing is when coming out. When do you tell your family members? And again, we know it's usually the adults that you're addressing because the kids are fine. But what would you say to parents that are, still in the early stages of questioning, wondering, all those kinds of things?
Yeah, there's a lot I could say to parents for whom this is very new and very fresh. One of the things I would say when this is new and fresh is it's okay to grieve, allow yourself to grieve, but don't let that grief hold you back don't let that grief hold your, child back. So you can sort of support your child, through this process, at the same time as you're, privately maybe grieving. I would really want parents to know that they should, don't underestimate your own capacity to evolve along with your child. The amount that I have changed is beyond anything I could have ever imagined for myself. And my relationship with Ava right now is so much better and richer and more fulfilling than our relationship was, before she came out. Because now that she is, her true self and can be her true self, she's just a different person. And so that really carries over into everything she does and into our relationship. So I would really say what now seems devastating is really not, and you can and will, come out on the other side of it. I think in regards to telling other family members, obviously a lot of that depends on the child and when the child is ready to for other people to know as well. But another lesson there I learned was that there was a point where I was worried about what my mom's friends would say, to my mom, for example, and then it was my primary responsibility is to worry and protect my child, not to worry about, well, what's my mom going to say to her friends, I have a responsibility to my child over a responsibility to my parents or other, extended family. And of course, my mom surprised me and was very, very supportive from the beginning, which I wasn't expecting. But your primary responsibility is your child, and anybody who's not on board with that, you may have to temporarily be out of your life until they're ready to be on board.
Right. Well, we're coming up on a break, and I want to put the phone number out again, 833-220-1200. And the book is Found in Transition, A Mother's Evolution During Her Child's Gender Change. Get the book. I mean, I think everyone should get the book to read and educate themselves and see what a family is going through, and just a better understanding of the LGBTQ community in that sense of transgender equality, transgender, what they go through, the different, something as, even going to, the ladies' room or the men's room. Normally that wouldn't be something that would even be on your mind, but that's a thought that they have to hold, and that's just one little piece of it. So get the book. It is sold everywhere, and you can go on Paria's site. I'm going to spell it for you. It's P as in play, ARIA, H as in happy, ASSOURI.com. Get the book, and we're actually going to be highlighting it. It'll be Dream Vision 7, May Book of the Month. We'll be back in a moment.
Take a journey to a place of the divine love within with Deborah Beauvais on the Love by Intuition Show, Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. Eastern. Our message is love in the purest form. The light within us all is a guide to recall our beginning, to learn to love self and humankind, and to feel the higher power of our own divinity. To attract love, one needs to be love. Come join us and step into this glorious vibration called love.
Are you searching for a way to help create global change? Dream Vision 7 Radio Network's vision is to have an eclectic group of radio hosts dedicated to educating, enlightening, and helping humankind with positive messages and tools that enhance lives using different modalities and programs. If you would like to join our team and help illuminate the universe, call Deborah at 508-226-1723 or Deborah at dreamvision7radio.com.
Delight your kids with an enchanting journey by reading the Paper Doll Kids children's book by Deborah Beauvais and Janine Sullivan. There's even a catchy tune, Kids for Love Song, produced by Bob Sherwood and sung by kids just like yours. The story weaves around 7 paper dolls flying around the world doing good deeds as they bring important attention to our endangered animal friends. There's even a magical ring with a universal message. Kids become interested in service projects, action through compassion, and planting seeds that nurture positive change. The Paper Doll Kids and Kids for Love Song are a production of the Kids for Love Project. Get the book now on Amazon Kindle and the song on CD Baby or iTunes.
Why are we here? How can we be happy? Questions asked from millennials to boomers. Crappy to Happy, Sacred Stories of Transformational Joy answers them using true stories of grit, grace, and love. James Redfield, author of The Celestine Prophecy, wrote in the foreword, "This book is a seminar about emerging truths and offers grounded solutions through the art of the comeback." Dr. Bernie Siegel, a contributing author, wrote, "Bodies die, but spirits and consciousness survive and recycle." So, grab some tissues, open your book, and prepare to cry and laugh till it heals. Crappy to Happy by Reverend Ariel Patricia and Kathleen O'Keefe Cannabis. Available from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and booksellers worldwide.
It's a child's job to play, to learn, and to have fun. It's an adult's job to keep them safe. Did you know that 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused before the age of 18? Every day, families enter the Children's Advocacy Center because a child's courage to tell someone what happened to them. Keeping our children safe starts with a conversation. This is Michelle Aranger, Executive Director of the Children's Advocacy Center. Learn more on how to keep your child safe. Visit cacofbc.org. This message made possible by the Fall River Rotary Club.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
And we are back. And check out our station site. You'll see all kinds of different radio hosts with their shows, podcasts. They're all on the same wave of enlightening people, giving them tools on how to have more joy in their life, how to have, just be in the present moment and enjoy living on earth, nature, and all the glorious beauty we have around us. Sometimes we just need to stop and just breathe in and be with ourselves. So check that out. It's Dream Visions, all one word with an S on the end, the number 7, radio.com, and we're in our 14th year. So it's an exciting time for our station. So, Paria, I wanted to get back to the kids that harm themselves or think or actually, go to the suicide end of things. Now, I understand, that suicide can be brought on by a lot of bullying and such, but should parents be thinking about whether their child is comfortable in their body, if that child is harming themselves or spending too much time alone? Should they have that on their mind?
Well, I think, teens, a lot of times do sort of retreat and spend a lot of time, in their rooms. But I think a lot of times you may see with trans teens that their sort of friendships are changing, that they are spending a lot of time alone in their rooms, online, may not be going out with their old friends the way they were before. So, anytime there's a, change in a child or teen's behavior in terms of just more isolation, not hanging out with their friends the way they were, then that is a cause for being, extra vigilant and a little bit alarmed. I think, there's a lot of good, fortunately, there's a lot of good resources for families, now as well. I mean, there's a lot of online support groups that specifically for families raising teen kids that, people can join from anywhere if they, part of the book, when I finally ended up in a support group in Los Angeles, is when things really started to change for me, when I started surrounding myself with sort of a community of parents who are going through the same thing. And, for people living in places where they may not have an in-person support group that they can attend, there are online support groups both for parents and online groups that teens can join that are safe and good. And there's also, online phone numbers that, teens can call, if they're in crisis, to talk to somebody. One of the well-known ones is called the Trevor Project, which is for LGBTQ youth that are depressed or having thoughts of suicide. There's another one called Trans Lifeline that's specifically a hotline for trans youth that, and I think trans adults as well, that is all run by other trans people. So there's definitely help out there. And, I think not going through something like this alone makes a big difference for both the parents and the kids.
Right. I mean, you talk about that in your book as far as your husband, how you're in gratitude that you had him because the two of you were on the same wave or the same understanding most of the time with Ava and what was happening or not happening. I can't imagine having a single mom or dad going through that without some support. So it's so good that that there's help out there, and thank goodness for technology where there's programs that people can, no matter where they are, they can be reached. So, mention the relationship with Ava and your son and daughter, because, and let's ask, did either, your other daughter or your son, your oldest son there, did they have any problems, or did they feel slighted in any way because so much time was consumed with Ava? I mean, how did they do, and how are they all doing now?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because as this was going on, I didn't actually realize that my older son was having a little bit of his own issues. But wasn't bothering us with them because he felt like we had too much going on our plate. So, I kind of only learned that later. But, they were very, very supportive of Ava. Really, Ava's coming out for her older brother, my son, was really a non-issue. I mean, he Ava herself didn't come out to them right away. She came out to them maybe about 8 months after she came out to us, and I don't know why she was hesitant and scared to come out to her siblings. Although she was, she would start wearing girls' clothing and putting on makeup and things like that, but not really telling them exactly what's going on and presenting it more as she was just experimenting. But, her brother had obviously started to sort of figure it out for himself. And when she finally did tell him, he was like, okay, big deal. And just was not concerned about it at all. And my younger daughter,
they're very close.
Yeah, they were very close, and they still remain very close. My younger daughter literally just went through like 2 to 3 days of being a little emotional and just trying to kind of figure out what it meant. That she was like excited that she felt like she was getting a sister, but upset that she was maybe losing a brother. And even though it's all the same person, she was just trying to figure this whole thing out. And so she was a little emotional for a few days, and then she was fine. And even when we first told her, within you saw her, she got excited. There was this like wave of emotions, and she got excited because she was going to have a sister, and then she got upset. She realized, she was sort of losing a brother, and then she got tearful. And within 2 minutes, she ran across the family room and hugged Ava and said, "I love you." So even though she was 11 and she was going through all this, but she knew that no matter what she was feeling, the right thing to do was to go across the room and hug her and say, "I love you," which is so much better than how I handled it. So it was really pretty amazing to see how they handled it all. But later on I did find out that my older son, he was having a little bit of sort of depression and anxiety himself at that time, not because of Ava, just other things, and sort of didn't really tell us because he felt like we were so overwhelmed, and sort of told us about it really much later. But he's doing well now, and everybody's doing well.
Very good. Well, we only have a couple of minutes left. Paria, what would you like to, the lesson, I know which is right up my alley, is the lesson for parents is come from a place of love instead of fear. But what do you want to leave the listeners with in these last couple of minutes?
I guess I would, other than we kind of talked about the not underestimating your capacity to evolve, but I guess, I would say that, I wrote my book to show that, also, a lot of things, but one of the things is to show that, having a trans child is not any different than having any child, and that my family is not different than any other family out there. that I want all the same things for all three of my kids that your listeners want for their children, and that all of my children, including my trans child, should have all the same rights that every listener's child out there has.
Absolutely.
And right now, the rights of trans kids are really being challenged, and so I just want people to remember that when they hear these things in the news, that these children deserve to have equal rights to all other children.
Exactly. And again, it goes back to really understanding and educating and all of that. And then it goes from there with that collective consciousness. So everybody is thinking about, the equality of everyone and celebrating differences and all the good things that we all want to be safe. We all want to be loved. So thank you so much for coming on the show, and everyone get the book Found in Transition. It's published by New World Library. And Paria, I'm just going to send you, and when I think of your family, I'm just going to wrap them with love. And you did, you both your husband and yourself did an excellent job of doing what's right for your child. So I thank you for that. Because so and wishing everyone well. So thank you again. It's been an honor to have you on the show. And for everyone out there, pass the show around. Tell them to get the book. Pass the show around to everyone that you know so that they can be helped as well, and the vibration, the frequency can just keep on going. All right, so the next time we come together, everyone, au revoir.
Are you seeking a clearer path to love? Then tune in to the Love by Intuition show next week. All designed to your highest good. To contact Deborah Beauvais, owner of Empowered Connections, call her at 508-226-1723. That's 508-226-1723. Or link on to lovebyintuition.com. Remember, we are all one, and we are all part of the miracle of love.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.